Hey guys!
Hi!
Welcome back to Rise. I'm Evelyn,
And I'm Sarah.
and today we are talking about
Detachment. So, what is attachment? What is this mysterious detachment that all the monks and Buddhists and greatest masters are talking about? We're going to talk about what it is, how it manifests in our life, and how to detach and find true freedom.
right. So let's get into it. So what we're going to talk about.
What is attachment?
What is attachment? And basically, what attachment is anything that you have attached, have
Retained as part of your identity.
right? Whether it's ideas, opinions,
Someone else's opinions of you.
people, expectations for yourself and others.
Your career, anything that you think is a part of who you are and your personality.
Right. Being attached to perfectionism.
Wanting to be perfect all the time. Also, your your name, right? Any kind of concept of who you are.
Yeah. Religion.
Any
background. Even like it goes down even to stories that you've experienced, even like whether they be good or bad. Some people like to play the victim, and they attach their identity to their hard life, and
that becomes their belief system, that
Right.
life needs to be hard or easy, or they're better than or worse than somebody, right? All of these are just mental attachments
Right.
that need to be let go of. Otherwise, you're basically living in a cage.
Right.
A mental cage that you have created. You're
Right.
the only one to blame.
Right. And this
Sorry
can
to-
also be attachment to money, which is a big one. A lot of people attach their self-worth to money, successes, things they've acquired,
Yeah.
things like that.
It's really like an ego play.
It is.
Attachment. Because remember, like the ego self, which is the opposite of soul, love, self. The ego self is all a mental concept, right? And the mind is trying to protect you. It's trying to keep you alive, like it did in caveman days. So it's creating all of these belief system and all of these attachments to things to try and create stability.
And security, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Why do we attach?
why do we attach? Well, the reason why we attach is because, like Sarah mentioned, it gives us a sense of security.
Right.
And regardless of whether it's good or bad, we feel safe
Right.
with these things and things that we've attached, things that have become part of who we are as people. Right?
It's like, okay, true freedom is the unknown, right? It's the mystery of life and embracing that. Whereas attachment is like, we love to hold on to things that we know, right? There could be bad relationships, it could be whatever it is, but we like to hold on to these things so that, like, it's easier than venturing in, right? And the song from Frozen keeps going through my head. Into the unknown.
Yeah. It's true, but like that scares people.
Right.
Right? They would rather hold on to, even if it is painful, they would rather hold on to that because they know what to expect.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we hold on to these attachments, is because we know what to expect by holding on to these things. So if you're holding on to money, you know that you're going to be stable, you know that you're not going to go without.
Right.
And
it's like asking the questions of like, why did you make this thing a part of your identity and your self-worth?
like,
right?
do these things make you feel special? Do you get validation from other people? Do you get love from other people?
Yeah. Does it fill your cup?
Right, exactly. Like, I know for myself, growing up as a kid, like, the only way I would get affection and excuse me, attention from my parents was when I was doing well in school. You know what I mean? Like, that was how I received love. So for the longest time, my successes became part of my identity because that's how I was able to receive love. That's how I got attention from the people that I loved.
Yeah, it almost became like your love language too,
Right.
right? Like the idea that you need these things to feel
Right.
love. Because on one level, they do fill your cup, but it's a false sense of validation. It's a false sense of love,
Right.
because you will always be a slave.
You always become a slave to these outside things because they are providing you a feeling that you're not getting within. Right?
And like, are you open to things? Like, if you're attached to a belief system, let's say it was a religion or whatever it is, and this belief system told you that like there's only a certain way of seeing things, and anyone else who doesn't see it that way is wrong. Like, at that point, you're going to be closed off from anything outside of your box. And let's be honest, the human understanding is very limited in the first place.
Right.
So we should not cut ourselves off from any other belief system.
Right.
Open your mind to as much as you possibly can, right?
Right.
But to do that first, you need to detach from what we were told is true.
Right, because that's the thing too, right? Like, once something questions your belief system and what you believe is right and what you believe is the truth.
Yeah.
Anything else that comes in and shakes that foundation, it scares you, because then it brings your identity and who you are to question, and people don't want to separate from their identity.
Exactly.
People don't want to be wrong.
Exactly.
Right? And that's the problem with attaching yourself to beliefs, because things are always changing. The world is always evolving, and truths are always coming to light that we don't know. And so if you're stuck in a certain way of thinking, it doesn't allow you to receive new information. It doesn't allow you to experience new things, to allow love to come in, because you're so blocked off.
Exactly. It's really a process of questioning every single thing that you have been told is true. Right?
And everything you've attached yourself to.
Everything. Right down to your
Name.
your name, your career. Like, do you love your career? Do you truly love your career? Does it bring you passion and joy?
And do you wake up in the morning excited to go to work?
Yeah.
And do what you're doing? Or did you choose it because it brings a sense of stability? It brings
attachment to status.
Right.
Attachment to money. Right?
Yeah.
Like, all these everything we've been told of, like, you need to be in a certain career, go to a certain school to make money and have a good life. I'm here to say that's not true.
No.
Right? I'm here to say, yes, you need a skill set.
Right.
Yes, you need to educate yourself in one way or another. But
it comes down to, like, are you the same person you were yesterday? No, you're not.
Nah, bitch.
You're constantly changing. You're constantly evolving. And with that, who you are as a person is constantly evolving and changing. You know, your interests, your beliefs. Like, I can tell you how many times I've changed, like, certain beliefs because I hear somebody else's perspective. I'm like, man, you know what? That kind of resonates.
Yeah.
You know, and that it's that beauty, because you're constantly flowing with what feels right, and what feels right in this instant may not feel right in the future because of everything you've learned and everything you've experienced, right?
I think it's about aligning yourself with, like, love, right? So aligning yourself with, like, your soul, and what does your soul and your heart truly believe, right? What is that truth?
Right.
Is really, like, what is attachment?
Right.
Right? And it's attachment, like, do you feel it up here when you think about something, or do you feel it here? Because that's where truth is.
Right. And attachment too is like, it is being in a cage, because in seeing that attachment is separation.
Right.
And you see separation between yourself and others, between you and things, you and beliefs. Once you start seeing yourself as a reflection of everyone, you see how everyone is connected, and you're all one.
Yeah. I think it's also the reflection there of, like, let's say there's a person who is the opposite of your religion or your belief. Right? Recognize that if they're super stubborn in their beliefs and that triggers you, that it's because you're probably super stubborn in your beliefs too.
Yep.
Right? So seeing that reflection and that attachment to, like, I am right, rather than letting go and finding true freedom.
Right.
Right. So
that is, like, the pure soul God essence within us. It's having no attachment to anything, because we are everything. We are everyone. Everyone is a reflection of who we are, and if we don't like what we're seeing, it's because it's within us.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because God, source, love, like, in its truest form, which is, it's always in its pure form. It's the human mind that distorts it.
Right.
But in its pure form, it is free flowing. It freely gives. It freely receives. It doesn't need to attach to, like, being right. Like, when you think of God or goddess or this higher being, is he sitting up there being like, this person's wrong, this person's right? Like, if he is, maybe you need to question that. Because to me, that goddess, God energy is like just pure love and pure understanding of all things, because it's all the same.
Right.
Right? Life and death and all of that, it's just the same. So it's detaching from these concepts of what is right, what is wrong.
Right. And again, to reiterate, like, when you have an attachment, it's a block.
It is.
Okay? And what that means is that you are attaching yourself to this fear of you losing a part of yourself if this thing disappears.
Yeah.
You know? Do you feel like if something you attach yourself to, let's say it's a person and this person left, how would you feel? Would you feel heartbroken? Would you feel less than? Would you feel like there's something wrong with you?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Like, once you start attaching yourself to people and them providing you with your self-esteem or helping, like, they're the ones who help you feel good, or they're the ones who give you status, or they're the ones who make you feel a certain way, you're essentially giving your power to this thing.
Yeah. I think it's also important to note, though, that we're all human.
Right.
So if you go through a breakup, or you lose all your money, or whatever it is, of course, or a death happens, like, of course the human mind is going to freak out.
Right.
It's going to try and grasp at things.
Right.
Right? But what we're talking about is the journey to having the tools to recognize, okay, my mind is dealing with this the way it can, because it's trying to protect you. And that's okay, because we're human.
Right.
Right? But I have the tools to then let myself feel this and let go. Right? That's what we're talking about here, is like having the tools to detach, having the tools to step out of this cage within our mind.
Right. But also, like, just building on what you're saying, the ego, what it sees, it's everything is separation. We see our surroundings as it is. Our soul and our love essence doesn't see separation.
No.
Right? Everything happens the way it's meant to. We meet people. Everything is a flow. Like, even if you look at, like, fall, for example, like, the idea of letting go and knowing it's gonna come back again.
Yeah, spring will always
it's
come.
It's all a cycle.
Yeah.
It's all a cycle. Things come and go, and we appreciate the journey. We appreciate the people who have come into our lives because they have taught us something.
Exactly.
Right.
And if someone or something leaves your life, like, either that thing or person will come back when they're ready, or something that better serves where you are in your life will come in.
Right.
Right? Because it's all going to be a reflection of your inner world. So if you're rising on the inside and you're learning to clear and heal and let go of things, that will be reflected in your outer world.
Right.
So if there's a relationship or a job or something that does not align with your soul, and now you are aligned with your soul, that thing naturally has to leave.
Right.
It's a natural process of manifestation. Right?
Yeah.
Which also comes to, like, the block of a lot of people when it comes to attachment and money, right? So I think a lot of us have heard, if you ever watch videos or anything on manifestation, the final step of manifestation is to let go.
Right.
It is detachment, and it is the hardest step, because you sit there and you visualize and you journal and you want this thing so bad, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to hold it in the back of my mind, and if I hold it there, my brain will always be thinking about it, so it has to manifest faster.
Right.
But what happens is that creates a block, because it stays in the mind, which is not real. It's just like a computer there to help you.
Right.
Manifestation comes from the heart. It comes from emotion. Right? It comes
And
from
trusting that it's going to come to you. And it doesn't mean that by you attaching to it mentally that it's going to make it come faster.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to let it go.
Yeah.
It's like, I always think of, like, when it comes to love, right? Attachment is the fear that, so let's say love is a butterfly, right? And you're with this butterfly, and it's spending time with you, and it's giving you little kisses on your cheek, and it's landing on your shoulder, and you love this butterfly. Now, attachment is like, I want to keep this butterfly for myself. So you put it in a jar, you catch this butterfly, you tell it, I know you love me, you keep it in this jar, but what happens is that butterfly is going to die.
Right.
Okay, it's going to get sad, and it's because it's in a cage. If you were to detach from that, and you have to let it go, right? Whether it's love, whether it's a person, whether it's money, whatever it is, it's about letting it be free, because you are free, and therefore this thing that is a part of you therefore must be free as well.
Right. So another thing to delve into when it comes to your attachments is, what is it from these attachments that clearly you're attached to these things because it's bringing you some sort of fulfillment, right? So why are you being fulfilled by these things? Like for your career, like why do you feel safe? Like if it's providing stability to you, like why is it that you need this stability?
Right.
You know, if it's people, like why is it that you need this love from this person?
Yeah.
Right. And what happens more often than not is the reason why we look for these things outside of ourselves is because we're lacking them within our relationship with ourselves. So if you are looking for another partner because you like the attention, you love the love, you love all of that, look within you. Are you giving yourself that kind of love?
Right.
You know, are you giving yourself that kind of affection?
Yeah.
You know,
that's the hardest thing, I think, because we've been taught our whole life that you are not complete without the other half, right? You need to get married. You need to be with someone who's your other half.
Or like that you are a half of a person.
You're half of a person. Yeah. You have a soulmate, a twin flame, and you might.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying that you are a sovereign whole being on your own.
Right.
And that's how you were born, and that's how you will die. Is yourself.
You are complete. You're complete.
Whole.
You are enough by yourself.
Right. So it's just detaching from these concepts that have been so ingrained in us, like even money.
Yeah.
Like how many of us grew up being told that like you have to have a good job, you have to make money to be anybody.
Right.
Right? Like if you end up in a crappy little apartment struggling, like you haven't made it in life.
Right.
Like how is that true? If you are a loving person who helps people and you have wisdom and you're well read and you've learned so much about your life, isn't that more important than this attachment to a career or money or a person or a marriage that, you know, 8 times out of 10 turns into divorce? And the reason for that is because people attach their happiness
to outside things,
to their beloved.
Right.
Yeah.
And to anything, like maybe you attach your happiness to your career, to your ideals, to your the story, like even like the stories you tell yourself, like you know, like are you looking for outside validation?
Yeah.
You know, in anything, you know, and that kind of brings us to the point, what is detachment?
Right.
What
is it? How do we achieve it? Like why do you need it? Right? And the reason here is that, like, what I'm going to say is that if you can have attachment. You might say, I love my husband or wife and I love my career and da 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 da. But if you were to lose this thing,
how would you feel?
You'd probably be very upset, like most people are, because we've been taught to be upset, right? And of course, it's natural. But the art of detachment is the art of being free. It's the art of choosing. It's like you're sitting in a little bird cage and the door is wide open. And like, do you want to stay safe in your little bird cage with your little bowl of seeds, a little water bowl? Maybe someone gives you some attention here and there, like you belong to someone or something. Right? Or are you going to be free? And it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary to be out there and to trust the universe and the mystery of it.
But that is ultimate freedom, is not having detachment to anything, not relying on anyone else to make you feel complete, to make you feel love and worthy of everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Because everything is within you. Do you realize that like the love that you seek, the abundance that you seek, the joy is within.
Right.
It is not outside. And I know you've probably heard this 1,000 times, but like it's the reality. And you have to let go of this idea to find that freedom. Just for a moment. I just want you to take a moment here and think of something that you are so attached to. Let's just try your name. Okay, take your name. Literally see it. You can close your eyes or keep them open if that works better for you. But literally see it in front of you and just see it floating away. Just let it go out into the universe, into the stars. Let it go and feel that weight just fall, like shackles, just fall off of you. Like, and that's just like a little pinch, right? Or think of like a partner, like whatever it is, just let it go. Just practice it, right, in your mind. And I promise you, you will instantly feel free.
Yeah.
And joy, just like a glimpse of joy and like, oh, like I am a sovereign being. Like, I am whole without this thing. I will survive without this thing.
Right.
Right?
Right. But I think the ultimate too, like, the only way you will ever be enough on your own is finding that fulfillment within self.
Right.
You can't, like, it's nice to visualize letting it go, but the reason why you become so attached is because these things are fulfilling you in some way.
Or you've been taught that they will.
Right. And if we don't give ourselves what we're looking for in others, we will always be looking for that in outside things. And unless you build that relationship with yourself and you build that love with yourself and that respect with yourself, you're going to continue looking for these outer things. It might not be the person you're with right now, but it might be repeated in another partner.
Yeah.
You know, like,
it will never be enough.
Right. And you're always going to go from one attachment to another.
Yeah.
Unless you heal that relationship with yourself.
Like, do you ever notice, like whether maybe you're chasing money or a person, but like once you get that person or once you get that money, all of a sudden it doesn't matter because you're on to the next thing.
Right. You're on to more money, or you're on to the next partner.
Or the partner's not good enough. Now you're blaming the partner for your happiness or your unhappiness.
Right.
Right? Like, oh, you said this thing that triggered me, and you should have known it was going to trigger me.
Right.
Like, that is attachment to someone else fulfilling your needs.
Right.
Your cup. And, like, we need to understand that nobody's a mind reader. Nobody, like, you're your own being, and you are responsible for your own happiness.
Right.
To do that, you must detach from all things.
Right.
All of it. Just be free.
Right.
You're just a being of source and love and light. And, like, when you detach from this crap, your name, your identity, all of this, you detach from everything. You will be a free-flowing spirit of, like, love.
Yeah. And remember, too, like, once you take off that lens of your identity and blocking things that don't fit your parameters, like whether it be like your religion or what you do, it allows for so much more to come in when you detach.
Pure love, like source pure God energy love, here.
Like experiences, new people, like you have no idea what you're opening up yourself to when you let go of this identity, this person, this illusion of what you think you are. And
by the way, when you let go, these people, these things, the money that you've been chasing just comes to you.
Right.
Right. I don't know if you've experienced it, but like partners that like when I was younger and I really wanted this one dude, this one guy, like the second you let go and you're like, oh, like I'm good, and you just turn the other way, like 9 times out of 10 they come. Right. And it's the same with money. As soon as you let go and like you're good with money and you don't need it anymore, all of a sudden it all comes at once.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's because you've detached, right? And you're in the state of flow.
Right.
You can allow it to circulate.
Right.
So how do you detach? We have like a step-by-step. How can they do this?
Yes. So first step, identify what your attachments are. Okay. So are your attachments, again, like what we mentioned, careers, ideas, religion, belief systems, stories, pain, all of that. Write that all down. Okay, that's step number 1.
And then step number 2 is identifying why are you attached to these things. And you really need to be honest with yourself here, right? Like, is it love, right? Do you feel empty? Do you feel unworthy without it? Like, do you feel that you need to obtain this goal, this money, this career, this person to show your family that you're worth something, right? Like, I have for example, a lot of my family, like, they don't really say it anymore but for a long time they'd be like, Sarah, you're getting older. Like, when are you gonna get married? Do you want more kids? Do you And I'm like, nah. If it happens, it happens. But like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? Because I am not attached to your belief system of what you need me to be to make you happy.
Right. Or like even to validate their sense of self, right?
Right.
Because some people don't understand that idea of, hey, you know what? She's single, she must be miserable.
That's the thing, they assume.
They assume you're miserable because you're single. It's like, no.
It's funny too how people get so attached. Like, I don't drink either, and it's funny how I have family and friends who they really just feel uncomfortable inviting me out because they're like, oh, you don't drink, like I can't invite you to the bar, I can't invite you to clubbing, and da da da. I'm like, and I say to them, I'm like, what do you mean you can't invite me? Like, I am high on life. You're the only one who's uncomfortable here.
Right.
I'm going to be on the dance floor dancing up a storm. Yeah. I don't need your alcohol that, like, in my opinion, brings me down a little bit. Yeah. Like, I'm almost too high vibe for it now. Like, that's what I feel. Like, I'm just like, I'm just happy to be alive. Yeah. I mean, I do my gummies here and there, but but it's detachment, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not attached to the outside perspectives of who I am, but they are. Right. But your key to happiness is detaching from that and telling people, like, I do not need to validate your experience and to be something or be anything. Right. And I'm not going to do things just to make you feel comfortable. Yeah. So be honest. Like, why do you have these attachments? Why do you think you need to do something, achieve anything, have it? Right? Like, why? Who are you trying to impress?
Are you honestly and truly doing things for you? For you. Or are you
Self-love.
Doing them for other people or to receive love from others? Yeah. Right?
And then step 3.
Step 3. How can you provide the things that these outside things are giving you, these sense of validation, all that stuff, how can you give yourself that? Right. So that sense of security, how can you give yourself that? That love, how can you give? Are you talking to yourself with kindness? Are you actually putting time towards your relationship with self? Yeah. You know?
The appreciation.
Do you appreciate yourself?
Safety, respect, like all these things that we think we need in the other, whether it's from your parents, from a lover, whatever it is. Like, if you think you need a lover to show you respect and to give you love, like,
and acceptance,
which is a valid experience, a lot of people think they do need that. Right. But I'm saying it's distorted. I'm saying you learned that from movies, from rom-coms, right? Like, that is not truth. Truth is, oh my goodness, speaking some truth. Yeah. Truth is that you can give yourself that respect, right? And we have another video on, like, the feminine, masculine energies and receiving from your own inner masculine or feminine. You can watch that after. But you can receive all of this, right? If you want love, if you want respect, if you want stability, consistency, that is all within. Right. Like, do you realize that you are the center of the universe? Right. I know people probably told you didn't. You aren't.
Because you're selfish if you do.
Oh, you're selfish, yeah. Like, I had it wasn't just my foster mother, but, like, I've had people tell me, like, you're not the center of the universe. Right. And my answer were always, like, yes, I am. But it's true, right? Yeah. Like, the experience is from my center, from me, and I'm experiencing all of this as a reflection. And you are the center as well. So, remember, just understand that, like, it all comes from within, and then it's reflected without. Right. If you're giving yourself respect from within, it'll be reflected in the partner. Right.
And also, too, like, building that relationship with yourself and it being pure love, you build a standard, and this is reflected on who you allow into your energy space. And when you have that high sense of love and respect for yourself, if someone comes in offering you less than, you are quicker to turn it away than accept it, because you know what you deserve and you know what feels right for you.
Yeah. And if you're attached to a person or a job, okay, let's go back to the career. And let's say you're attached to this career and you really want it, or you want the money, right? But your boss isn't so nice. Right. And your boss treats you badly and they make you work late hours and they don't pay you enough.
And they don't appreciate you.
But you're attached. You're attached to this expectation, therefore you put up with it. But if you were detached, if you detach from the expectation, from this career, whether you quit or not, that's up to you. But if you're detached, you are in a trusting state of flow with the universe. Right. And when you're in that trusting state of flow, the universe will conspire to bring you what you need. Right. Right. It's kind of that the story of the divine huntress. so I forget her name. She was a goddess, and she lived out in the forest, and she was completely sovereign being. Like she trusted in everything, and
she was led by love.
She was led by love, right? And she was detached from everything. And so literally, because of that, she wasn't chasing anything. The animals, the plants, anything she needed would come to her. Like the animals, it was an honor for them to be hunted by her, right? Like because they're a part of her. So it's the idea of flow of like what you need will come to you, but you need to be detached.
Right.
The second you chase that deer, it's going to run.
Right.
But if you sit still and trust that it'll be delivered, it'll come right to your doorstep.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
So with that, if you would like to learn more about detachment or anything, please join our mailing list below. You'll also be added to our waiting list for the members club when it opens, where we're going to have experts coming in talking about detachment. Like, I mean, real, like, Buddhists, monks, all the, like, real experts coming in and talking about this stuff, teaching these things. We also get live Q&As with us each week where you get to ask us and interact with us and like be a whole community of people rising to our full potential all together. Rising, ascending. Yes.
Our Rise Tribe.
Rise Tribe. So please join our Rise Tribe below. It's free to join that list, and we'll send lots of good stuff your way through email as well. And
with that,
let love be your intention always. Bye.
Bye. See you next time, guys.